Last time on the Infinite Badass Fleet, the crew enters the realm of gravity, and Lunaticsville and Massive immediately attacks with double Earth's gravity, only to retreat after a Saint's hello. The crew trains while their leader summons more fighters to their aid, hoping to turn the tides by doubling their ranks. After an intense raid boss-like battle on the enemy base, the team tried to gather information, only for Massive to crush the computers. He aims to do so to our heroes next, just to get the anvil dropped straight into a nearby black hole. Now with two mysterious orbs avoiding gravity, the team moves toward the realm of space. Can the fleet deal with the extraterrestrial threat ahead? Will they find out who is behind these schemes? And can we use certain music without fear of copyright issues? Find out now. Stardate 2022-06-23.3. The past couple weeks have been rather eventful. As such, I decided to start a series of vlogs to recount our accomplishments so far for future reference. With any hope, this will be the beginning of our successful return to our homeworlds and our adventure together along the way. We've made our way through 2 realms so far, avoiding gravity, defeated Dread Pirate Bayarth and Disgrill Massive, and obtained strange orbs from them that seem to be of importance to whoever they answer to. These strange orbs must hold some kind of power or key to what is really going on here, but to what end? And what is this mysterious benefactor to these enemies? We have to wait and see, I suppose. Whatever comes next, I have a feeling we may need more than our current force of 65 to face whatever is ahead. End log. And as such, we start something right away, as we make our way to a realm that appears to be out of space. Yet we all can breathe just fine. Our ship is initially drifting among the stars until we find a nearby planet to land on. On the way, we welcome the following. Number 65, Capra Glenami from One Piece. The variety of skills at her disposal, well, she'll be a great benefit to the team. I just gotta make sure to never borrow money from her. Number 66, Apprentice Illusion Magician from the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. Now, I wasn't able to find too much information about her, but from what little I gather, she appears to have been who the Dark Magician girl originally was. Interesting. Lily C. Sherberg from Galaxy Angel. Specifically just 2. Now, she has quite an interesting background. Seems to be from a special clan. She's raised in military training. Very stern, serious type. I think she might be a good fit. Computer from Courage the Cowardly Dog. Quite the snarky and cynical type, this machine, but hey, he can be quite a daredevil. He knows his stuff as well. Lots of information could be useful. Number 69, Hat Kid from A Hat in Time. Very versatile with the acrobatics and some surprisingly good combat skills. I was not expecting this kid to be shooting laser beams out that umbrella, but hey, there you go. Number 70, Ramona from Dragalia Lost. Well versed in blacksmithing and fire manipulation. A bit of a family business, you could say. This may be useful as well. 71, Miri Yurizaki from Dimension W. I haven't watched that show in a long time. This android seems to be equipped with a double coil, making her impressively powerful. At least by android standards in her universe. With a great deal of durability and agility, I'm sure she'll be able to do well in a fight when necessary. Noodle from Gorillas. Now, funny thing about her, I'm pretty sure her whole deal back when she was a kid was that she was like a child soldier of some kind with like enhanced abilities. Kind of funny that she just ended up becoming a guitarist for a band then, huh? Number 73, Parasol from Skullgirls. Now, from what I've gathered, she appears to have been a pretty well-renowned leader where she's from. With all that in mind, and the fact that she's able to wield a weapon such as this strange umbrella eldritch monster thing, I think she should be able to handle herself quite well. Bit of a side note before continuing regarding summons. The way roles work in the day have it so that you can only obtain a character once in a 3-hour time frame, likely to reduce people spamming the heck out of it, the bot, and just picking up a ton of characters to hoard for metaphorically pump and dump for a ton of Kakera. To reflect this, the summons with the Tome of Mude work in a similar time frame system, meaning that most, provided I go with 6 hours of sleep instead of 8 because my sleep schedule will be messy, I would at the fastest be able to summon up to 6 people a day if I'm constantly keeping track. Even if I did early on, however, I would eventually get somewhat lax and try not to summon darn near every hour till I found someone I wanted, but I won't deny I did so frequently early on. That all being said, 6 summons a day would mean each arc would be 6 days at the absolute fastest to get to 32 characters per arc. 6 per day for the first 5, then the 6 days for the last 2. But since we are factoring in training, character interactions, and fights between summons and general downtime, let's up that to about a week per arc overall. Maybe 8 if a lot is going on. Back to the story. Upon landing on this alien world, we find it to be quite similar to Earth. Finding some locals who are able to gain some food and resources and learn of the culture of the area. I honestly question if this is really a planet other than Earth. They're so reminiscent of what I and many on the crew knew. People were kind and for the most part helpful, even with some of the strange and fantastical members we had. During this time I was summoning more to the fleet, as I couldn't help but shake this foreboding. Call it a sixth sense or genre savviness, but I just knew that something terrible would come to pass soon. I wish I was wrong. Number 74, Sabine from Gwaine Saga. Self-proclaimed charming manipulator, he seems to be quite good with a gun blade, and somewhat of a sniper. Might have to be wary about that hypnosis style. Number 75, Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Now this was an interesting choice on my part because I do know that he is quite well versed in impromptu traps and stuff, like being able to just come up with stuff on the fly. He's gone through some stuff, but thankfully he's gotten therapy, so he's kind of worked out his issues. Isla from King of Fighters. Now, I kind of just have a rule that by default I'm gonna probably give most fighting game characters a chance. Though I must admit though, she do got that shit on. She's known as a graffiti artist, and if those phantom hands are anything to go by, I would assume that she's probably well versed in fighting in a way similar to Stan's. If you know JoJo's, you know. Charizard from a comic series with the same name. As you would expect from, well, the lady herself, she has knowledge of over 1,000 different tales, which came quite in handy when it came to getting that ruler to not, murder her like all his other wives. That was a little thing. She's also well versed in some other skills as well, such as swordplay, gunfighting, beast riding. Apparently she was a sea captain at some point. She's been doing stuff. Crazy. Royal Arsenal from Last Origin. If I think this is right, this must be like the first Last Origin character we get here. So a bit of a fun fact on that. Bioroids are biological androids with metal skeletons that are pretty much built for combat. As such, it only makes sense to recruit them to the team, since they would also be a boon in terms of our ranks combat-wise. They all tend to just have really big moves for something. I don't... This is something. It's not... I just roll with it. But yeah, this one got like an antimatter, like anti-material sniper rifle. That's gonna do some damage. Let's roll. Number 79, Jinrei from Senran Kagura. Now, this girl seems to have quite the obsession with drill-shaped things, if you can probably tell just from her hair and her weapon. But she seems pretty good at using it, so hey, I can't really complain. Crazy ninja girls from Senran Kagura, you know. Next we have Sylvia from Dragalia Lost. A powerful dragon associated with wind and nature. Not really into fighting, but if she has to, she can be quite merciless. So hey, ops, watch out. She don't play around. Number 81 is Eterna from I Am Setsuna. Traveler of many mysteries and a strong sense of responsibility. Seems to know a lot of magic and such, specifically revolving around time, space, gravity. I think she can even make black holes. Kinda crazy. And I pronounced this one. 82. Lin Call from the Shadowverse. Now, in terms of the Arcana, she seems to be associated with the Fool, which, you know, start of beginner's journey, start of hero's journey and all that, yeah. How she's a steward of omnipotence and unknowing? I don't know. That's kind of just the fancy stuff she'd be saying. I kind of just roll with it, because, yeah, the stat boost be very useful. Things were going quite well. Too well. It is until the invasion began in the morning.
Ships of an alien source are approaching from the sky. Radio contact has been attempted but cannot be established. Instructions are to prepare for an attack by an unknown enemy.
And just like that it began. Swarms of bug-like creatures and hulking monsters of various kinds were laying waste to the cities. Mass destruction everywhere, nobody was safe. I quickly mobilized the fleet to confront this threat, aiding the local military in civilian evacuation. Some were already on the move before I gave the order, helping who they could right away, and with our forces already somewhat scattered beforehand, we needed to regroup and organize as soon as we could. Before we knew it, some of the invaders of high ranking started to invade. A large, hulking beast that towered over most of us had made his presence known, blasters in each arm laying waste to anything around him. Before he could engage, two armor-clad warriors with a swift combination of electric sword attacks and fire blasts felled the beast. We then became acquainted. Swordsman was known as Temunite, and the gunner as MDK. And these aliens were a threat that they were all too familiar with. But once they pointed to the ship formations in the sky, I finally knew what we were dealing with. Taking a second to realize just how bonkers the contrast between the original games look and fighting their ground troops in person is, I assess the situation and decide to delegate some of my troops to assist these two as backup with large bosses and key points. I will do so as well with my own team, while the defense team focuses more on survivors than Zoe. Along the way, I would summon more to our aid as we did our best to combat the invading forces. And boy do we start strong with number 83, Palutena from Kid Icarus. Yes, the light goddess herself has joined the fight. With all of her abilities, we'll surely be able to turn the tide of this battle. Next up, number 84, Reyna from Ragnarok Into the Abyss. She's apparently the last of her kind and protects the secrets of Alfheim. And that's all fine by me, though it is unfortunate that Alfheim seems to be in pretty dire straits in her universe. Still, her archery skills should come in handy. Next up is Darley Dagger from Samurai Showdown. A shipwright and well versed in hand-to-hand combat, I'm sure that someone as hardworking as her will be a great benefit to the team. Next up is Lady Spider from, well, the larger Marvel multiverse. Now, she doesn't really have spider powers like your typical spider person, but she was able to build that spider harness all on her own, so she's definitely well versed in some tech skills, despite everything. Also made her own web shooters. Next up is Princess Rebecca from One Piece. Now, you may not be able to figure this just from looking at her here in this regular image, but she is incredibly agile and fast. In fact, I dare say that she's rarely ever been hit in a fight, if at all. Maybe it's her use of observation hockey, maybe it's just from the training she had growing up, but this rather calm and generally just kind lady here just seems to be quite the adept fighter. Go figure. Number 88 is Leon Belmont from the Castlevania series. Now check this. This man was once a baron and was fighting in the Crusades for a time. He was actually friends with the man who would eventually become known as Dracula. Their friendship didn't end well. Needless to say, with all of his knight training and vampire hunting skills, he shall be a great benefit to the team. Next up is Sid Highwind from Final Fantasy VII. Now, he's a pretty well-versed technical engineer and pilot. Seems to have some Dragoon skills as well. Very useful. Bit of a foul mouth to him, but you know his heart's in the right place at the end of the day. And now, number 90, we have Ty the Tasmanian Tiger himself. Now, he's not much of a planner or a leader, but he does make up for it with a decent deal of skill and compassion for others. And considering that he's Australian, yeah, he's probably pretty good at surviving some crazy shit, because Australia's insane. Like, even without like the weird stuff, with, like the robots and the mutations and stuff, like Australia without the more cartoony shit is just, jeez. And it's a good thing I summoned him throughout the day. Plenty of abilities really came in handy as we dealt with the giant enemy crab, and yes, I did attack the weak point for massive damage. I know my realistic combat scenarios quite well, and it provided opportunity to further advance my practice in both key and elemental magic against differing foes with armor and the like. Temanite's team, on the other hand, dealt with hostile plant-based enemies that included corpse-controlling parasites, and while the defense team mainly dealt with slime creatures infesting the sewers. With this divide and conquer method proving effective, it was time to confront the mothership. As everyone regrouped and refueled, was rested, I couldn't help but stay up knowing of the danger. We had defenses and alarms to prevent any kind of breach from going unnoticed, but I couldn't rest knowing that we were not safe yet. When I woke with only 4 hours of sleep, the battle still rages. We miraculously had no casualties among my fleet members, but many of them still needed rest. So not all hands were on deck for this final push on the mothership. We only had so many members who could fly on their own anyways. And learning from those who could teach wasn't possible since they were needed to defend from the sky the whole time. Namely Charlotte, who was very busy in the air, for example. So key-based flight for me was out of the question at the moment. According to MDK, there was a far more common and elite troops than usual, which would explain why even with the more powerful members I had, we just couldn't get to the mothership sooner. There were sheer numbers getting in the way. Otherwise, this would have ended yesterday. But now, with much of their forces in this sector having been dealt with, over the course of the morning. The mothership is coming in closer with its own elite troops and leaders to deal with us, while they call back most of their forces from elsewhere on the planet to focus on here as backup. Now, time is of the essence. We can attack the mothership now before their backup can arrive, calling our strongest and flight-capable members available and organizing the raid team. It's time to ride some dragons. Before getting into the big finale, let's list off who I summoned that morning before the raid. For 91, we had Alma from Seirei Gensoki. This girl got two sides to her. You got the spoiler girly girl, and then you got the strong dwarf woman. No in between. She kind of just go back and forth. But hey, she got earth element, arts, big battle hammer. She should be able to do some stuff. Then we got Madame Foster from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Now, I'll be honest, I basically just brought her in as a bit of a wild card, because if you know Madame Foster, she can do some wild stuff when you're not paying attention. Seriously, have you seen her behind the wheel? Damn. And next we have Twintel from ARMS. Now, I'm not sure why she's the only person in her verse who has the ARMS ability in her hair instead of her arms, but yeah, I can't really complain. Those arms are pretty useful in a fight. She's also very easy in the eyes, but that's either here or there right now. With the plan set, we set off to assault the mothership. They wouldn't make it easy with their laser defenses and battleships defending it, but I was well versed in how this game operates, and unfortunately for them, we have much more than a single cannon at the surface. Well-placed key blasts and light beams make quick work of most of the enemy forces, a golden dragon ramming through at incredible speed with our main fighters on board. Well, you can probably tell how that goes. Long Lawn pierces the hull for us to get in, and from there we clean house. Team A consisted of Temi Knight, Jonathan, Malora, Eterna, Lady Spider, Solid Snake, Ty, Carol, Rebecca, Hioki, myself, and local cop Officer Naji. While B team consisted of MDK, Kyrie, Reyna, Aya, Elnot, Seth, Pippo Snake, Leon, Pink, Vole, and a couple of armed civilians named Justin and Ashley. We made our way through the ship, both teams overpowering the defenses with guerrilla tactics, strong weaponry, and overwhelming power and speed. Team B making their way to the Alien King first and dealing with him, while Team A makes their way to the true mastermind, the Alien Core. And right before I did, I summoned number 94, Alibaba Saluja, from the Magi series. Now, while negotiations would be pretty useful, it wasn't really much help here regardless. Still, he's pretty cunning, helpful, loyal, and well-versed in swordsmanship. And with his metal vessel, he'll be able to bring in the firepower if needed. Now, confronting the core was probably one of the most confounded conversations to ever be in. The aliens' reason for invading this world and trying to wipe out the planet's population is that they were in pain from radio waves going out into space. Radio waves. You tried to wipe out this entire race here over friggin' radio waves. Why not just ask them to turn it off? Why immediate bombing and mass murder? What is wrong with you? And I kid you not, it said, it hates our voices, our looks, our hearts, and we are nothing to it. And with the power of the Space Core, it will kill all of us.
Jesus Christ!
So as we start dealing with the aliens it sends out to fight us, Team B is popping off with their fight with the Alien King. At first it was trying to keep a distance with waves of laser fire and beams, but even with that and the elite troops backing it up, it was just no match for the combined might of our heroes. Not only were the mid to close range fighters like Pink and Leon and Kyrie and Aya able to keep the enemy soldiers at bay with ease, but those with range options were just shredding through it like a hot knife through butter. The standout was Foley, really, who was just relentless with a constant barrage of fireballs throughout the whole fight. She might as well be a living flamethrower, honestly. Now, while all that is happening, Team A made their way through the waves of aliens the Corps had sent after us, only for the first of the bosses to reappear before us. We made quick work of it with our gunfire, magic, and swords, only for the plant boss to appear right after. But as we were cutting it down to size with our blades and blasting it with missiles, Alibaba was about to use his Jin equip to end it quickly, when a torrent of flame raised it to the crisp right before us. Turns out B-Team had arrived just in time for the next boss. The giant enemy crab returns, but with all 25 of us here, well, it was no match and went down quickly. Finally, the Corps reappeared weaponized. This was it, the final battle. In its first form, it tried to fight us using a series of weapons that scattered laser fire, wind blades, and electric discharges all over the room. While tricky to navigate, we were able to find the openings and the attack patterns to exploit, sending the machine falling back into its pit from the room center. Next appears in its tower form as it did before, yelling "Kill all" repeatedly in various voices, but now it's brandished with the Space Core. With a shining light from the core, it started teleporting in more copies of the three bosses, filling the room with massive foes that altogether were too big for the room and broke open the roof. As the team scattered to deal with the boss clones, only the two heroes, the three locals, and I were left to deal with the core directly. The fight was intense, dodging barrages of lasers, fighting holographic clones of each of us. The tower came apart piece by piece as it sent out electrical discharges and heavy gunfire, bullets whizzing past us as we kept focusing on taking the thing apart. The trio's gunplay held strong, and the two heroes caused massive damage to the midsection. Now it was time for the coup de grace. As boomerangs, beams, and waves of thunderballs and explosives were scattered all around, it was desperately trying to kill us. I saw my opportunity as soon as the upper section came apart with my ki blast and thunder spells. Threw my hammer just in time to break one of the 4 drones meant to generate one last offensive barrier, leaving it open for a final team attack by Teminite and MDK. It was done. The alien core explodes into pieces, freeing the orb in its possession. I quickly grabbed it and let everyone know the objective is complete. Now it's time to get out of here. As I looked outside the ship's hull, it seemed that when all those bosses were teleported in, they came from all the surrounding ships the alien core was calling in from the rest of their invasion forces across the planet. Teleported those right to the city to start the fight. So it was rather intense for everyone outside the mothership as well. Luckily, since we knew where the core was, that left our heaviest hitters to go nuts on the rest of the fleet with giant lasers, dragon breath, and a giant pink chainsaw. That's a new one. And more as we dealt with their leader. As the mothership fell out of the sky, we all escaped via pickup from Hong Long, Sylvia, and Tyrew, but we made sure to procure some computers from the ship before leaving to see what info we could get from them. As the massive vessel began to sink into the ocean, I looked at the space orb and couldn't help but notice it being much more crystalline and colorful compared to the first two that were more rock-like, as if those were still dormant while this one was activated. Thanks to the skill of all creation, I was able to recreate the move the alien core used earlier, this time warping all the enemy ships not yet destroyed into a single area, dealing with the whole fleet all at once. The result was a massive pile of crushing metal and leaking jet fuel, nearly as big as the city itself. To think if prior enemies we faced had actually used their orbs, we might not have been able to make it this far. Kinda sobering, really. But as the colossal ball of metal started to catch fire in several spots, I quickly called up Nika just to ask her just how combustible the amount of jet fuel in this thing would be, and she said it would leave the whole area about as extra crispy as a nuke. Oh, that's a whole barrel. Nope, warping out. Managed to warp the massive ball of metal into orbit, where it then proceeds to explode seconds later in spectacular fashion from a safe distance as we watched from the planet's surface, like a massive fireworks display. The war was won. In the aftermath, there was much rejoicing. We celebrated like it was going out of style. The crew, The locals, the military, heck, Timmy Knight and MDK even provided their own music. It was kind of fire. You'd think the Straw Hat Pirates started the party or something. Well, one of them was here at least. I even got the last two summons out during the party. 95 and 96. Be UL from Grand Blue Fantasy. I'm pretty good with like Fox Flame, dual wielding swords, various elemental moves. Pretty useful stuff. Seems friendly enough, wants to restore her family's lineage and whatever. Then we got Vanilla A1, a special battle made Bioroid. Apparently that's like a whole thing. Their specialty is like both combat and house cleaning. I ain't complaining. I like combat maids, that's pretty cool. Once the 3-day party was over and things settled down, we refueled and restocked once more and prepared to take our leave. Many civilians came to see us off, those who fought with us included. The locals were glad the full invasion force was finally gone after how much damage the initial invasion that occurred before we got here went. Only now I learned that this is Earth technically, or at least a version of it. Timmy Knight and MDK parted ways elsewhere in the galaxy to stop more alien threats in the future. We wished them luck, and departed as well, activating the gravity orb for the first time to send Zunisha back into space. Onwards to new adventures, and to the next realm that lays beyond the innumerable stars. Next time on the Infinite Badass Fleet, remember your past, make your future, and be present, for our arrival is nigh. Clock in and not waste a second before your minute of fame stops. For in this continuum shift, there is no constant, only variables in flux, baby. We gotta get chronological in this era before the entropy kicks in, am I right, Doc? Or am I looping? See you when. Clock blockers.